Hi, I'm Steve, and I would like to focus on the provision to SMEs, to small medium-sized enterprise, the provision of banking and financial services. I'm not going to call out any specific brands. It's really that sector that I'd like to be focusing on. And the exam question that I'm going to work to for the purposes of this presentation is it possible to deliver a truly compelling proposition, a truly compelling customer experience that is at such a level that it translates into very, very high levels of customer advocacy, it translates into very, very high customer retention rates, and of course very, very high levels of multiple sales to customers. I believe the answer to all those questions is yes, that is possible, but it will involve doing things very, very differently from the perspective of innovation. Let's just begin by looking at what I wouldn't focus on. I wouldn't focus on an ideas-driven approach, an ideas-led approach. I think that tends to be by nature too short-termist. Equally, I wouldn't focus on a product-driven approach, almost by nature. That's not customer-centric. Focusing on customer needs is fine, it's clearly better, I would say, than the previous two, but what about unarticulated needs? What about unmet needs? They could perhaps fall by the wayside, are likely to fall by the wayside. Instead, what I would focus on is an innovation approach concentrating on understanding the jobs that the SME business needs to be done, the jobs that the SME business needs to do in order to continue to operate, in order to trade, in order to be able to conduct business successfully. Let's just explain that in a little bit more detail. Here we have the combination of both the job, the submission of VAT return, and then also the desired outcome. Now, a suitably worded statement such as this can provide real insight, because not only have we got a commentary on the rational need, but we've also got a commentary on the emotional need, the direction of movement, minimize, the unit of measurement, the time taken. And so if we're able to provide this customer with a solution that enables them to submit their VAT return, but equally it addresses the constraint that is being voiced by this part of the outcome statement, the fact that it takes time to currently submit that return, we're going to be really going to the heart of meeting both the emotional and the rational need. So having identified an example of a job that needs to be done, what we would then need to do with the organisation is encourage very fresh thinking in terms of what are some of the things that the organisation might do to enable the SME business to achieve that outcome, to achieve that desired outcome more effectively. Now, there's a whole range of jobs that SME businesses need to be done, and they exist in all sorts of different areas. For example, so here we have examples of generic groups of jobs that SMEs need to get done in running their business. And what I'm saying is that for a bank and financial services provider to align all of its products and services, everything it does, against helping the SME customer successfully achieve the desired outcomes in each of these areas would form the basis of an incredibly compelling transformational proposition that is very different. So by focusing on the jobs that need to be done by an SME can provide an incredibly rich level of insight in terms of both the emotional and the rational needs of the customer. And then what would I do? Well, I'd effectively look at the whole organisation in a holistic manner and to ask the question, to what extent does the organisation actually reflect this approach? What are the implications on the overarching vision of the company? What are the implications on the values? Are they consistent? What are the implications on proposition development, proposition strategy, and then dropping down a level, what are the implications on product development and product strategy? There are clearly going to be issues around organisational design, moving from an organisational design based on product or customer turnover to an organisational design that's reflective and sympathetic to the customer's jobs that need to be done.